Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Started Jai Radha Madhav. Thank you, Prabhuji. Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivara Dhari Jaya Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jai Girivara Dhari Jai Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Yashoda Braja Jana Ajayo Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Ravana Yamuna Ravana Chari Jaya Yamuna Chari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Ras Bihari Yamuna Vanachari Radha गिरिवरधारी राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय जय हरि हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय श्रील प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर श्री राधे जय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, just the first thing is I see someone iPhone 2. Can you kindly rename whatever your name is?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, I'll rename it, Prabhuji. Arun.
Arun, thank you. Thank you, Arun. Om Shuklam Bharadram Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vigno Prashantaye Yasyatma Bhutasya Guru Prasadat Aham Vimuktoshmi Sharira Bhandat Sarvopadeshtu Purushottamasya Tasyanre Padma Pratosmi Nityam Prahalada Narada Parasara Pundarika Vyasamrisha Sukha Saunaka Bhishma Dalbyan Rukmanga Uddhava Vibhishna Palgunadin Punyaniman Parama Bhagavatam Namami Janmadhyasya Yato Anvaya Idara Sarcha Arteshu Abhijñā Swarat Ene Brahma Hridaya Adi Havaye Mukhyanti Yaha Surayah Tejo Vari Mritam Yata Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Amrisa Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakoham Satyam Param Dhimahi Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam Sukamkat Amritam Dhruva Samyuktam Bibada Bhagavatam Rasamalaya Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvipavuka Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayam Udirayet Ashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Na Ishtaki Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranama Dukka Samanas Tam Namami Harim Param Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thanks for joining. So what we are going to cover today is verse 31 and going back to verse 30 and then verse 29, which we did a couple of weeks back, the 29th sloka. We were not able to finish it. But what we are going to do is we'll start with 31st and then connect back, go reverse to 29th sloka. Before I get started, I just want to let you all know I do have permission from Ramacharya Prabhu that I can go a little longer so that I can finish this particular topic, this session. At any time, if you want to drop, you cannot stay beyond 8 o'clock. Kindly, there's no offense to me. Please go ahead and drop. But I committed to complete this section on the third section of this particular chapter. So as you see on the screen here, we are on the third section where Narada Muni narrates his past life, how he became a devotee. Many times we also, many of us, we all came into Krishna consciousness due to a mercy of one devotee, someone in our life. It's the same case for me also. If someone is saying, I just directly came into Krishna consciousness, then they should understand that's not possible. Unless and until the mercy of devotees are there, it is not possible for one to come in contact with Krishna consciousness. It may be they were touched by the devotees in their previous life, as in the case of Narada Muni. So no one can be raise their collar and say, I am a devotee by myself. I just took up Krishna consciousness by myself through the internet or somewhere. It's not possible. It's only by the grace of the Vaishnavas that one can become devotees. We may not see it, but that's a fact. And this is very clear in the case of Narada Muni himself. So that's the section that we are in right now, 23 to 31. Now we are going to go ahead and see the 31st sloka, which is the last sloka of that third session. So I'm going to recite the sloka. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo You can also, as you're muted, you can also repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Enaivaham Bhagavatah Vasudevasya Vedasah Mayanubhavam Avidam Yena Gachanti Tatpadam. Enaivaham Bhagavatah Vasudevasya Vedasah Mayanubhavam Avidam Yena Gachanti Tatpadam. Enaivaham Bhagavatah Vasudevasya Vedasah Mayanubhavam Avidam Yena Gachanti Tatpadam. Just for the sake of time, we'll just continue. Yena, can someone please recite, read the synonym, and someone can read the translation, and then someone can read purport for me, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Arun, yes.
Yena, by which, eva, certainly, aham, I, Bhagavataha, of the personality of Godhead, Vasudevasya, of Lord Sri Krishna, Vedasaha, of the Supreme Creator, Maya, energy, Anubhavam, influence, Avidam, easily understood, Yena, by which, Gachanti, they go, Tat Padam, at the lotus feet of the Lord.
Can someone else read the answer? Thank you, Arun.
Sure.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. By that confidential knowledge, I could understand clearly the influence of the energy of Lord Krishna, the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of everything. By knowing that, one can return to him and personally meet him. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sudhaya. Any Matajis can read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Sujata Mataji, please read.
By devotional service or by the most confidential knowledge, one can understand very easily how the different energies of the Lord are working. One part of his energy is manifesting the material world. The other, superior part of his energy is manifesting the spiritual world. And his intermediate energy is manifesting the living entities who are serving either of the above mentioned energies. The living entities serving material energy are struggling hard for existence and happiness, which is presented to them as illusion. But those in the spiritual energy are placed under the direct service of the Lord in eternal life, complete knowledge, and perpetual bliss. The Lord desires, as he has directly said in the Bhagavad Gita, that all conditioned souls rotting in the kingdom of material energy come back to him by giving up all engagements in this material world. This is the most confidential part of knowledge, but this can be understood only by the pure devotees, and only such devotees enter the kingdom of God to see him personally and serve him personally. The concrete example is Narada himself, who attained this stage of eternal knowledge and eternal bliss. And the ways and means are open to all, provided one agrees to follow in the footsteps of Sri Narada Muni. According to Shruti, the Supreme Lord has unlimited energies without effort by him, and these are described under three principal headings as above mentioned. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sujata Mataji. So, here is the connection. What we are seeing right now, but before this, let me quickly chant the invocation prayer. Om Ajnanam Timirandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Mena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Tadanti Swa Padantikam Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Asmadgurubhyo Namah Sarvagurubhyo Namah. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So we are on this 31st sloka right now today. What's the main point here is what Narada Muni learned from the most confidential knowledge. What he learned considered to be the most confidential knowledge. But for this what to happen, who gave that confidential knowledge is discussed by Venumadhurya Prabhu last Saturday in his 30th sloka. Who gave the confidential knowledge? And before that, for someone to give that knowledge, one has to have one has to be a proper patra. Patra means a container, to receiving container, right? If the container is full, you cannot drop anything into the container. Therefore, the container has to be empty to receive that message or anything. Therefore, even if you're walking on the street and you see a beggar and the beggar is having a lot of money on this pot, then you don't get encouraged to put even $1 in that pot, because he's already having a lot of money, right? So rather you look for someone who doesn't have the beggar who doesn't have a money. That's where we usually the mind goes to go and give the money to that person, not to the one who already have it. Therefore, the secret of knowledge is one thing that we accept ourselves that we don't know. When we think that we know and go in front of a guru, go in front of the teacher, then that's going to be, it's not going to retain within us that particular knowledge. It goes away because we have confidence in whatever we already know. Therefore, in the 29th sloka, how Narada Muni received that confidential knowledge, that's what has been discussed. So again, how Narada Muni received, who gave that knowledge, and then what did they give? And these are the three beautiful slokas that we've been seeing so far. That the first thing is, what he received is Krishna, confidential knowledge about Krishna. Who gave are the devotees, Bhakti Vedantas, the great sages. How did he get it? And that's because of his devotion, selfless, flawless, devotional service. Let's move on to the next slide. Now, what is that most confidential knowledge that he got it? That is about Krishna's energy, the Chit Shakti, Ishvara Shakti, and Achit Shakti. These are three important. Of course, Krishna has unlimited potencies, unlimited Shaktis, but all those Shaktis can be categorized, fall into three buckets: Chitta, Achita, and Ishvara. Ishvara is, of course, is the supreme personality of God and Krishna. Chitta is nothing but the living entities, and Achita are the material energy, the material energy. So those are the things. And the Lord's powers and sweetness are Maya Anubhavam. And again, this Maya Anubhavam has been differently translated by Prabhupada, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and so forth. But those are for much deeper understanding and learning. So I'm not going to spend much time on that one. When you read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says powers and sweetness. Whereas if you read Prabhupada's translation, it says the Krishna's energy is energy Shaktis and internal Shaktis. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Now the question is, Krishna, our Lord, is always present in the heart of everyone. Then why the inspiration and realization? Am I audible? Is it clear? Okay, thank you. Then why the inspiration and realization of our Lord is not happening? God is present. I have my cell phone right here. It is right on my table here, and it is right there. I can see it. And every time when we read Bhagavad Gita, when we get into the Bhagavatam class, we talk to the devotees, we always hear this: God is present everywhere. He is also present within us. He's in our heart. If he's there, then what is the problem? Why there is that we are not able to realize the presence of the Lord? Why that is not happening? I can pose this as a question to you all, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to move on. I know you all have answers for these things. Nothing is new for you all, but just to trigger this thought within us. So keep that question in mind. And then here is the thing. That is the word, which is a key word that falls into that sloka. Mayanubhavam avidam. Yenaivaham bhagavataha vasudevasya vedasaha. Mayanubhavam avidam. But Maya is the term, important term. We have to know this one, because if we want to be successful in our life in any field, then we have to know how to deal with our opponents. We cannot go blindly to the field without knowing who our opponents are. It's dangerous. It's very dangerous. We may gone to gym, we may did workout, must have learned martial arts, we have taken all energy drinks and proteins and all those things. We are really built very well. That means you can fight. But the problem is we also have to know who our opponent is. That key point is very important. Otherwise, there's no point in we doing all that what we're trying to do. Therefore, it's important to know what is Maya. There are different interpretations been given here what Maya means, as you can see from the screen. My sincere thanks to Priya Mataji, who made this presentation and made my job easy. So thanks, Mataji. So Maya means knowledge. You'll be surprised to know that Maya also means knowledge, right? So yeah, the acharyas have given different interpretation. That's the beauty of the language, the rich language itself. The language, unlike English, a word is meant for a certain meaning. That's it. That if I say glass, it is glass. It cannot be something else. But the language, the Sanskrit language, is all based on dhatu. Though it just differs according to the context, it all varies. That's why we have in Bhagavad Gita so many interpretations. Many people have many translations because of that reason. Atma has many meaning. Atma also means sun. Sun means Yasun. Yasun is also Atma. Yasun also be called as Atma. Yasun is also can be called as Atma. The Jiva can also be called out. Like that, many things. Many. We are not going to get into the literature here. Now, what Vallabhacharya says is, if a devotee is, this is the answer to the previous slide that we saw. If a devotee is unable to realize the working of this Maya, the illusory power, he will be able to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. It's quite interesting. What Vallabhacharya says is that if we realize how the Maya works, he will be able to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. Quite interesting. How is that? Just by realizing, just by knowing, one can attain the lotus feet of the Lord? I know that St. Louis University offers graduation of engineering. I know that. So because I know that now I'm an engineer already. So let's, for example, St. Louis University is offering doctorate, PhD, right? I know St. Louis University is offering PhD. So that means I'm going to get a PhD? No, what it means is that, yes, I know that St. Louis University is offering a course to get a PhD, but you got to enroll and start following the process and procedures so that you can get graduated. Likewise, it implies a person who's realized will start applying in his life. That is what is called actually realization. Realization means when it comes to practicality, not just realizing, simply saying that I am Atma, I'm not this body. Not simply saying Maya is very dangerous, and again going and watching movies. That is not what realization means. Let's move on to the next slide. So therefore, the problem for that is we need to understand what type of devotees we are and what type of devotees we should not be. The last one, ignore the natural one, but I'm going to skip out that part. But here are some 4 or 5 different types of devotees. We need to see which one we really fall into, and then take step to improve ourselves. Narcissist. Narcissist is, if you could just do a search or do a dictionary, go to dictionary.com and find out what it means. It means a person who fell in love on his own reflection. Narcissist, meaning a person who falls in love of his own reflection, meaning a devotee who fell in love with his own qualities, his appearance, his activities, his services. He admires himself extremely, excessively, right? That is what the meaning of this word means. That person likes the way he looks. He likes the way he dresses. He likes the way he puts a tilak. He likes the way he talks to others. He likes the way, he or she likes the way he takes care of other devotees. He likes the way how he's kind to others. He likes the way how he sings. Oh, I am the best singer. I have the power within myself. The way that person cooks, she or he likes, I really cook really nicely with that mood of devotion, how nicely it all comes out. I think I'm really very nice. I fall in love with my cooking. I fall in love with my presentation, how nicely I made this presentation. Right? All this falls into that particular category. That means a person is really, really, in other sense, imagining too much about himself, how great he is, how nice he is. On festival time, one devotee came and asked me, Prabhu, did you see the deities? I said, yeah, they are looking so beautiful. They are so nice. They're captivating. Yeah, did you notice that their earrings? I said, yeah, it's nice. Did you notice their bangles? I said, yes, that is blue in color, very nice. What about their anklets? It's very nice. All this person was keep on questioning me, this Pujari. And I said, very nice, very nice, very nice. And then I thought that conversation will end. But then later, the conversation went for another 15 minutes telling what all he did, the great things to make this happen. Where all he purchased this one, what did he do, and how many struggles he went through, and all those things. And he said that this is what I do every festival. I do a lot of things like this. So he fell in love of his own service, of how he was doing these things. So another person is histrionic or overly dramatic. Overly dramatic. These are some people we come into our life among our devotees. They are the one who takes much of our time, by the way, because they take a topic of something that happened in their life or something that they dealt with, and then they make a nice, they project it in such a way. They're very good in conveying that in a dramatic way, very nicely, right? As if you feel like you're watching a movie. They bring it to your front with emotions, with cries, the tears in their eyes. Again, by the way, there's nothing make any offense here. There are genuinely people who are coming out, but please wait and hear to this one. Then you can understand what we are talking here about. Prabhu, I had so much. You just call the person, Prabhu, I didn't see you on Sunday. Where were you? I didn't see you Sunday. And then this person, I had too much work on the weekend, continuously in calls, and this is quite interesting thing happened. I'm not going to get any, this is just for you all to be aware how we present ourselves. And we were all getting ready to a call, and the notice was sent. And then the call is going to start in 15 minutes. And then the person who's supposed to join the call says that I have work. I won't be able to join. And then later, another person joins who knows that person's, and that person said, Prabhu, sorry, that person cannot join because we have a guest at home. So completely two different aspects of this is how people try to project. So we have to be very careful. We don't want to fall into overly dramatic devotees. That is not good. We are not fooling others. We are fooling ourselves. And sometimes those are the people who drop the big problems on our hand, and we'll be carrying their problem, and they'll be happily continuing their life. So we got to be careful. We don't want to drain ourselves in getting involved in such things. There's a genuine people have concerns. We certainly have to help. But there are people make this as a habit to do their life. They are called overly dramatic devotees. Another one is called antisocial. This is quite interesting, devotees. They never mingle with anyone. They are devotees, by the way, but they will not mingle. They will just come, attend, sit, eat, go. They go to the extreme of even you say Hare Krishna, they will nod their head. Or they may say Hare Krishna, but they won't be like this. Hare Krishna. Because maybe they are quite fearful, because if you smile, if you say extra word, You may be called for services. Who knows what they think in their mind? We don't know. So therefore, there are people, they don't care about whether you're authority or you're not authority or what you are. They're just antisocial. They do not mingle. They are in the category of Jada Bharata. No, just like that. That's just a joke, by the way. Jada Bharata is not like that. And another type of people are the over social. They are very social. Natural socialist of thing. These are overly social people. They go beyond and above everything to show themselves how social they are, how helping nature they are, how they are so caring for others. Right. So they do all those over extra activities, all those things. But there may be some intention behind their activities to do so. There are other categories of people who are called sly people. This is also there among devotees, by the way. Please do not, when sometimes we think, anyway, you all know what I'm going to say. But sly, these are sly devotees. How can devotees be sly? Come on, Prabhu, you're offending devotees. You should not be talking these things like this on a Bhagavatam class. But the fact is fact. Whether we agree openly or we don't agree, there are devotees, because they're all still not matured. They have the sly nature. They have the sly nature. One young devotee told me that, initiated, by the way, and then telling, I can get away by doing anything. What? I can get away by saying anything or doing anything. I can simply get away because I'm born in this month. According to my zodiac sign, I have that special thing where I can say anything and just get away very easily. People have some of these things. Sly nature is something you try to do without awareness of others, but try to get your work done somehow or the other. You want to make your preference to be happening. Therefore, you under the thing, you do whatever you need to do, and then get the thing happened. That's a sly nature. And we got to be very careful as practicing devotees. Sometimes this may come in our behaviors. We will talk something in the front, in the behind, we'll sly, have the go and do something else. So that is not at all a very good habit. So we should be careful with this 5 types of thing. The natural thing is not, I'm going to talk about that's naturally a nice way of how one is. But what even natural doesn't mean that one has to continue. Then if they have naturally have some bad qualities, continue to be natural. Those people say, I'm naturally like that, Prabhu. I can't change it. I can't change. That's my vasana. That's my karma. Sometimes people say that. These are natural devotees. They say that, Prabhu, I am like that. What do you expect from me? I'm carrying for my anadikala karma vasanas. It's coming with me. How can I change? What lecture can you give to that person? How can you tell anything to this person? By the way, these people are also well versed with the scriptures. It's very, very hard to preach to devotees than anyone else, by the way, because they know Bhagavatam, they attained Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, they attended all the courses. But to teach to one who is seasoned devotees, tell them that they are doing something not right, is so very difficult, because there won't be acceptance. If you say something, the first thing they will tell is, Prabhu, you think I'm not right person, then look for someone else. So it's a very dangerous situation, especially those who are in a leadership position, how to deal with such people. Let's move on to the next slide. So this is the verse that Venu Madhurya Prabhu did. He kindly shared his presentation with me. I missed his presentation last Saturday, but he kindly shared his presentation. It was a beautiful presentation with a lot of information. Jnanam guhyatavam yat tat sakshat bhagavato titam anvayochan gamishyantah kripaya dhina vatsalaha. As they were leaving, those Bhakti Vedantas, who are very kind to poor-hearted souls, instructed me in that most confidential subject, which is instructed by the personality of God himself. So move on to the next slide. These are the qualities of the Bhakti Vedantas. You all can read this one. Being merciful, compassion, messenger of God, magnanimous, equal to everyone, faultless, truthful, spiritually inclined, materially averse. The last point is very beautiful point that you highlighted, Venu Madhavi. As we are spiritually, how do we know that we are spiritually progressing? Is the degree of dissatisfaction towards the material things. Both cannot go hand in hand, by the way. It cannot go in hand in hand. Therefore, the more we progressing or not is depending on degree of how much we are getting averse toward the material things or enjoyments and things like that. So that tells, are we progressing? By the way, when we say material thing, that also includes all the subtle things, name, fame, prestige. Because we can be externally say, I don't eat this one, I'm fasting, I'm chanting 64 rounds, I'm doing all the different, those are all externals. By externally, we can prove ourselves to be the best devotee. Any one of us can do that externally. But internally, are we trying to do all this so that everyone can tell, Lal Gopal, he's a Uttama Adhikari, how great he is, how great he is. His eyes are glowing, he looks, whatever. Anyway, you can all message me later about my appearance. You look like Babaji, whatever. Anyway, so let's move on to the next slide. So therefore, the three levels of transcendental knowledge, Acharyas, again, various Acharyas have given what are these three different levels of knowledge. Is confidential knowledge, more confidential, and most confidential. So every Acharyas have beautifully given things. From the Bhagavad Gita, from the Bhagavad Gita perspective, it's very simple. The confidential knowledge is simply about Atma. The more confidential knowledge to how to attain that Atma through the process of karma anyana. And the most confidential knowledge is beyond the realization of Atma, realization of Bhagavan, Paramatma, and Bhagavan through the process of Bhakti Yoga. That's the most confidential knowledge. These are the things that Venu Madhavi Prabhu covered. Now, let's go to the next slide. This is the slide that 2 weeks back we did, which was I badly failed to complete. That is tasyeva me anuraktasya prasistasya atainasaha pradhanasya bhalasya dhantasya manucharasya cha. I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses, and I was strictly following them with body and mind. Body and mind. So here, we read the purport, so I'm not going to read the purport again. Quickly, 2 minutes recap of what we did, and then we'll continue from there. The two things that we said that we wanted and two things we don't wanted, or from the material world and the Krishna consciousness practices of the world, for say, our success in material world is based on, that is two things. That is what have the success in our life. And the success in material world is based on our material achievements, whereas our success in Krishna consciousness is based on our sincere endeavor. And the second point is different formula for different results, or same formula for different results, same formula and same result. Let's move on. I'm not going to spend much time over here. Let's move on. And Prabhupada speaks about what success of life means. Just to pick one from here, Prabhupada in his purport, he says, when the living entity feels spiritual separation from Krishna viraha, yes, achieve the prime success of life. That's one of many of quotations from Prabhupada. Okay, let's move on. Tasyeva me anuraktasya Anuraktasya is attachment. Attachment. The first secret that we learned from the sloka was attachment. We must have attachment towards devotees, our devotees. So it's a very key point to be attached to devotees. We should be detached from other things, but we should not be detached from devotees. Devotees association are so very important in our life. Therefore, we should have that one. Let's move on to the next one. So we compared material attachment and spiritual attachment. This is for your reading. I'm not going to read this. Let's move on to the next. Next one we saw was prasritasya. Prasritasya is meaning obedience or well-behaved. There are multiple meanings. One is being obedient, another one is well-behaved. Let's see what that means in the next slide. Well-behaved. How can we well-behave? We saw these 4 important points. Live without pretending, hear without defending, speak without offending, love without expecting. So this is a very important 4 points for our behavior. Are we really behaving well or not? Are we pretending? Are we defending? Are we offending? Are we expecting something about our devotional service? So in this one, in the previous couple of weeks back, we saw the first point, live without pretending, because it's very important. We are here to please Krishna, not to please anyone else. We should understand, of course, devotees have to be pleased, but our intention is not to be it shouldn't be pretentious. We shouldn't be pretending. We should be pretending. That's not, we are fooling ourselves by doing so. So it's a true behavior. Oneself is confirmed when one is not being noticed, how that person is. I often watch the cameras in our temple when I'm not at the temple, to make sure everything is fine, everything is going fine. It's very interesting to see how things are when being noticed and when things are not being noticed. Because when temple devotees are not there, the way the services is done is different. When the temple devotees are there, the way that service are done is totally different. It's quite obvious that we have that mentality of how we try to do differently when we are noticed and we are not noticed. So we have to develop that real thing. Krishna is watching us within ourselves. No one is watching outside. No one need to watch us from outside. Krishna is always watching us from inside. Therefore, we should understand that being truthful to ourselves as practicing devotees is a key and very important thing. If we are serving, but we have some intention to gain something out of it, then Krishna will give those things for sure. But Krishna is not going to give. Krishna is not going to give bhakti. So let's be careful what we are looking for. Okay, let's move on to the. Actually, no, we have to finish the other part here. So here with defending, here without defending. When someone says something about us, especially if someone is giving a negative feedback or criticizing us, we try to cut off from that person. We don't want to hear anything like that anymore, because I don't want anything bad about me. More I talk to this person, I'm only getting negative feedbacks. Therefore, what we try to do is cut off the relationship. Limit ourselves, our conversation with that person. That thing is very easy for all of us to do. Second thing we try to do is immediately when someone says something to us, wrong about us, criticize us, talk something negative to us, we try to take a first approach is to defend ourselves. Defensive mode. We go into the defensive mode. Right? We get into the defensive mode. And if that doesn't work, then next we go into the acquisition. What is it? What's the right word to say? Accuse. Yeah, accuse that person. Accuse that person that what he did is wrong, not me. What he did is wrong. Therefore, before we say something, before we write something in the email, before we message something, this always happens in my life. I'll tell you personally. When someone sends me a message, right, I pretty much ready to shoot an email with at least 3 or 4 paragraphs. I write that email. I mean, I write that message. Really, I write that message, but I do not click on send button. When I see some message which is disturbing or which is not a right message, which I feel that that person is trying to give some reasons, I compose myself, but I do not send that message. I save it. And then second, I read that message and then delete that message. Because that message is simply going to create disturbance. That message is going to create unnecessary friction between the relationship. That person is not good. Anything that we say, this thing is, that person may not be in a position to hear your advice. That person may not be ready to hear your criticism. Therefore, it's not worth of our time to just get on messages and emails. It's quite dangerous. If you have a good relationship with that person, to take a phone and call and explain to the person or have a personal conversation, that's much better than shooting messages and emails left and right. It doesn't make any sense. Once a message goes out, you can't take it back. Sometimes people message and then they later realize and go ahead and delete it. By the time 10 people have already read that, right? So be careful before we even click that button. Therefore, once you send it, it's gone. It's just out of it's on this cloud now, sky. So let's give another example how this happens. So I call a person. I told a devotee that please come and pick me up. I want to go to the temple. And that person has to come for somewhere else. He's coming for the first time to my house, but he's coming and he's picking me up. I told him to come by 4. Say I'm telling him to come by 4 o'clock because I have to go early and make some preparation at the temple. And that person comes at 4:15. And then we get into the car. I say thank you. And then what happens is on the highway, it's just heavy traffic. It's heavy traffic there. Then I say to that person who's driving the car, probably we should have taken 270, not 44. And that person tells back saying that, so you are saying I made a mistake of not taking 270, but took 44, Prabhu? See, that's how the dialogue starts now. That person takes it as a defensive, in a defensive mode. So you are telling me I have to take 270, not 44? I made a mistake. The intent is not to say that you made a mistake. The intent is that that's another option we could have considered. Well, you should have told me before. I'm new to this place. You should have told me before. Now you go to the second phase called defensive is gone. They can accuse the person. It's your responsibility. You should have told me that I should have taken 270, not 44. So now the conversation, if I'm also in the same mood, the conversation continues, get into the argument, it get into the fight. Next time he's not going to come pick me up. I'm not going to call him. Done, Haribol. So therefore, it's quite an important thing. Hear without defending and speak without offending. Very, very important. And the first 2 things that comes into our mind, we should simply ignore. In any conversation, when we try to respond to criticism, to negative things, the first 2 things, we simply have to ignore it. The first thing could be because of your defensive nature. The second thing is because you want to accuse that person, accusive mode. Therefore, remove these 2 things. The third thing is much better. You'll be settled down by then, and your response will be different by that time. by that time, we will be much more in a better, sensible way how we want to respond, how to the thing that we heard, to the thing. Now, now I can keep on giving an example, but then I think let's move on to the another thing. So I was just talking to. I come, a lot of example comes in my thing because of my interaction with various devotees. It's all I'm sharing, not to, as a criticism, but to be aware that how we speak, how we take certain things, how we respond. And so that's the only reason I'm just sharing these things, because easy for me to give highlights and talk on a lecture, give a lecture and go off. But if a practical examples is given, that will make sense and we can relate ourselves also. Oh, I did this mistake also, Prabhu. I should be careful now. I should be careful now. That's the only idea behind why I'm sharing these things. It makes sense to most of us when we give examples. Therefore, whenever the advices are given, especially the feedbacks are given to us, we should hear the feedback. One who is giving us feedback are our real friends, by the way. Especially those who are giving us the feedback for our improvement are the real friends. We can find hundreds of people who can praise us. There'll be less people who can come, have the braveness to come and say, Mataji, what you did is not right. But at the same time, for that person to come and speak, the other person also be in a hearing and receptive mode. Otherwise, they are not going to get any of feedback. If they restrict themselves, close themselves, put them into a barrier that you cannot approach me, you cannot tell me any feedback, you cannot talk to me, then obviously you're not going to get any feedback. Right? So we have to be also keep ourselves like Ramachandra accessible to the devotees. Accessible. Let devotees come and tell us. We want to hear how we can improve, get rid of our anarthas in whatever ways that we are trying to do. Therefore, it's important we hear feedback from Ravana is a fantastic example in Ramayana. He gathered people. He made a summit, like how we made a summit a few months back. He made a summit, but a summit is not that you tell what are the initiatives you want to work on. His way of running the summit was, these are my initiatives, get it done. But what it means, all the ministers, everyone gathered. They all gathered. Rama has already arrived to Lanka. Now what to do is, everyone were ready to say that Ravana, just send off Sita, problem solved. They were all ready to say this one. But what Ravana did was that my program is to keep Sita, work around and make it happen. That's my initiative. Get it done. It's a top to bottom order, authoritative, rather than telling what you all think is the best thing for me to progress in Krishna consciousness. Prabhu, Mataji, please tell me, how can I improve? I'm in chanting, I'm involved, but something I'm not doing right. Rompada Maharaj, His Holiness Rompada Maharaj always says this one. This is stuck in me, which I always do with Maharaj also. Maharaj, you have any feedback for me? I ask periodically, is there any feedback for me? How can I improve? And Maharaj gives so many left and right answers, which I didn't even want to even see with my eyes. Maharaj gives so many points. Lal Gopal, here are the areas you can focus on. Here are the areas you have to improve on. Here are the things that you have to change yourself. All those things. All those things. Constantly giving mentorship. So we have to take feedback from devotees. It's important. We can go on with the historic examples of Indrajit, who did not take good advice of Vibhishana. Hiranyakashipu did not take good advice of his own son. Ravana did not take advice of Mother Sita. Vali did not take the advice of Tara. Dhritarashtra did not take the advice of Vidura. Duryodhana did not take any advice from any elders, by the way. So, Vinashakale Viparida Buddhi, there's a saying, when the bad time comes, our ears will not hear any good advices. Vinasha kale viparita buddhi. The mind will run crazy. Therefore, it is very important to be protected in the sattvic environment, sadhu sangha, in the environment that we have. Prabhupada has provided us, given us. Stay always within that boundary, Even the moment we go out of this boundary, Maya Anubhavam. There's something is waiting outside, just waiting outside. Just put your head out and see, just imagine yourself, you just in the Krishna conscious environment room, and then you open the window and just see little out like this, and then someone is just hold your neck and pull right away. Therefore, it's important. Not even want to try anything that of nature. So, the listeners has to be make an effort. But of course, the listening, Braj Bihari Prabhu has given many seminars on how to listen, and also how to speak is another wonderful thing where it calls non-violent communication. Priya Mataji gave a nice seminar to our youth group online, non-violent communication. So all those things are, we as devotees, we have to practice. Here's a chance for us to practice. So not hearing to good advice is not good. And then pretending like listening is another dangerous thing. Someone will be listening in the Sunday class, right? The lecture speaker will be speaking. This person will be staring at the speaker. And everyone will say how attentive he is, but actually is thinking about something else in his mind. So pretending like listening. And then having another way of listening is selective listening. Selective listening is I will only hear selectively in the conversation. Only something which is interest of me. Other things I will not listen. I'm talking about all the good things only, not mixed with the material things. If you're talking about devotees, among devotees, right? If anything to do with me, we can easily find when three devotees are talking, or four devotees are talking, one devotee is talking about another devotee and glorifying the other devotees, the attention of the other one over there will be very less most of the time, because it's nothing to do with me. It is about someone else. So the attention will be very less. Or that person will excuse, Prabhu, 1 second, I have to go to the kitchen and take care of something. I'll be right back. So those are the things called selective listening. Autobiographic listening is a very, very interesting one. Autobiographic listening. That means paying full attention, 100% full attention and focus, not letting one word to drop, miss out. Because the conversation is all about me. When I am talking about myself, Priya Mataji, because you're turned on the video, be very attentive. Okay, I'm talking about myself. You should know who I am, where I'm coming from. 20 plus years of Krishna consciousness, by the way. Super senior. Initiated long back. Second initiated. Gives a lot of lectures. Everyone respects. What's the problem with you? Why don't you respect? I won't tell these things externally. But autobiographic listening is that completely glorifying oneself, or someone glorifies about you, then that type of listening is very attentive listening. So we got to carefully observe these things. Right? So whether a person is listening or not listening is also based on 4 principles. What are the 4 principles? Sitting in a right posture. One has to sit properly. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Hare Krishna. Any questions? Hare Krishna. All these things are not the right way of delivering lecture, or even not the right way of being a student to hear the lecture. Right? So sitting up properly, a body language is very important, and leaning slightly towards front. That means you're in the front. That means you're showing interest. that, yes, I want to hear. Right? And having an eye contact is so very important. It's so very important. Not only the speaker should have an eye contact, even the listener should have an eye contact. So speak without offending. Speak without offending. This is very important for all the devotees, especially those who are representing ISKCON movement elsewhere, outside or inside the temple. Like those who are giving classes, those who are teachers in Sunday school, the temple president, the GBCs, anyone who are a congregational development, anyone who is in the lead role, who are representing the temple, our temple, to the public, must be very careful how they speak. Never to speak, my daughter was coming and telling me a couple of days back, in the school, there was one girl, they both were, there was one girl who came and spoke about the other girl, something bad. My daughter said this one. I was just simply listening. And then she continued. She said, the next day also, she came and spoke bad about the other girl. And then I was curious and I was listening, and this my daughter was saying, I was listening. And she said, what am I supposed to do? Should I go and should I tell this person not to say anything, or should I go and tell the other person? Because that person is also my friend. Whom she is talking about is also my friend. What should I do now? What should I do now? But I simply said that it's very dynamic. Relationship could be very dynamic. Today, those two girls are fighting. You never know tomorrow. They may be good friends and speaking about you. You may be the target for them. So you just be a good friend to both of them. But do not encourage anything for that matter. Usually what happens is we think that when we encourage someone's talk by adding points, we become their favorite. That's a bad idea to do. Right? Priya Mataji is coming and telling something about Sujata Mataji to me. And I want to be in good books of Priya Mataji. Therefore, what I say, absolutely, Mataji, absolutely. It happened to me when I went to Chicago also. She was simply just going into, she was simply doing nothing there. Just keep on eating. Right? I saw that in my eyes, Mataji. You're saying right. But this is all not good. If we can just stop the conversation, that's very good. If not, just not. But so therefore, speak without offending anyone is a very, very important thing that we have to practice in our life. Now, let's move on to the next one. This particular thing, when two devotees talk, say devotee A and devotee B, and there's also devotee C. The devotee B has some problem with devotee C. That is known to devotee A, like the example that I gave with my daughter. The best thing is, rather than trying to solve this one, this way of communication is called, Brija Bihari Prabhu says, triangle conversation. It's called triangle conversation. A talks to B, A talks to C, B talks to C. Right? There is a break between the way the message gets conveyed to others. Therefore, it's always nice to have a direct conversation if we doubt on something, rather than talking the issue to the third person. It's not going to help. It's not going to help at all. So therefore, we have to be careful in doing this one, right? I asked I asked one of the ex-youth of our Sunday school, ex-youth, grown-up kid now. I asked if that person can help me on Sunday school. Okay, I was looking for teachers for our Sunday school, so I reached out to this person who was previously Sunday school student. I asked, would you please become a teacher and help? And I messaged that person, and the response came back saying that I'm busy, I cannot help on the Sunday school. Then I just said, that's fine if you're busy. Then I sent the next message saying that, Will you be available for to take up any other services? If not Sunday school, can you take up any other services? It's been more than 6-7 months. That message is still there. No response. Right? No response. So this is open-ended. Sometimes open-ended is very good. Sometimes in such questions and such dealings, you cannot have an open-ended. You got to close the conversation. When the question is being asked directly, then we cannot say, I'll get back to you and never get back to you. It just stays there forever. So as devotee, when we say some word, we have to keep up to our word. We have to do. Then how can we say we are following Satyam, being truthful? Right? So coming to the last point here, love without expecting. For this one, we just have to, best example is Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, the conversation happens between gopis and Krishna in the 32nd chapter. The gopis are asking Krishna, because Krishna disappeared. When they are doing Ras Leela, Krishna suddenly disappears. And the gopis were trying to find where Krishna, they couldn't find, they run and run and run. And out of separation, they sing beautiful songs. Finally, Krishna appears. And then when Krishna appears in front of them, gopis ask, they ask this question, what she asked, they ask is, Yetan no bruhi sadhu buha. She says, I can't remember the entire sloka, but the last line is that it says that, please tell me, Krishna, some people reciprocate the affection only of those who are affectionate towards them. First category of people. Let me repeat. Some people show their love and affection to those people who show love and affection to them. That's one category of people. Gopis are asking, by the way. Second type of people is, while others show affection even to those who are indifferent to them. They are showing or not showing, doesn't matter. They are showing affection to them. Whereas the third category of people are those not show affection to anyone for any time. They are just neutral. Udasina. Krishna says this word in Bhagavad Gita. Udasina, asina, udasina, asina. So they are very neutral. Whether you show them, you give them gift, like how we saw that antisocial person, but this is not an antisocial person, by the way, right? This is a totally different category. So this person is just, whether you show him respect, you don't show him respect, whether you give him a gift, whether you don't give him a gift, he just as he is. He doesn't show favorism or any of those in nature. Why Krishna? Why we find these three types of people in the world? Indirectly, they are asking, which category do you fall into? That's their intention. Sometimes they do, it's not etiquette to ask directly, right? Sometimes you see that devotee doesn't come to the temple, for senior devotee maybe he or she doesn't come to the temple. You cannot ask directly, why are you not coming to the temple? Indirectly, you should ask, very busy Mataji, very busy Prabhu, something like that. That means what? Indirectly, you're asking why you didn't come all these days. Likewise, gopis have that etiquette. They know how to ask. Instead of asking, you are like this, they're telling, which category do you fall into, Krishna? You only favor people who favor you? Or do you show affection whether they favor or don't favor? Or do you don't even show any affection? You're just completely aloof of any of these things, right? So therefore, we should, Krishna gives, I'm going to probably read the translation here. This one is not here, but let me pull it from my here. Yeah, Krishna says that so-called friends who show affection for each other only to benefit themselves are actually selfish. They are selfish people. I take care of you, I say greet you, I nicely take care of you because they have some motive inside. Selfish. They have no true friendship. nor they following the true principle of religion. Then Krishna goes on says here, for the second category, he says that that he says, my dear Gopi, some people are genuinely merciful or like parents, naturally affectionate. Such persons would devotedly serve even those who fail to reciprocate to them, or following the true faultless path of religion, and they are true well-wishers. And lastly, he says this one, there are those individuals who are spiritually self-satisfied, materially fulfilled, or by nature, they're the category that we are talking about, who doesn't reciprocate to anyone, has two subcategories. One who is fully spiritually satisfied. They do not react to any of these things. Or else there are other categories who are ungrateful people, envious. Whatever you try to do, be good to that person, it doesn't work out at all. How much ever you go out of the way to help that person. Some of you might have had this experience in your personal life, helping some devotees or helping your family members. Or how much ever you try to do, that person does not get along. That doesn't, they don't have, they're ungrateful people. They're very ungrateful people. They're envious people. Therefore, that type of people are the third category of people. Or it could also be because they're completely self-satisfied. They are saints. They fall into this category. Naham tu sakyo bhajato api jantum. He says, but the reason I do not immediately reciprocate to the affection of my devotees, living beings. Right? We have these questions always. Why Krishna? Oh my God, why Krishna? Krishna's not really responding to me. My cause. I'm suffering. Krishna, don't you hear me? I'm suffering. Physically, I'm suffering. Mentally, I'm being tortured. Are you listening, Krishna? Not that they don't believe in the existence of Krishna. They are good devotees, by the way. They are fantastic devotees. But they get to the point that, Krishna, where are you? Are you hearing? So Krishna is responding to that devotee in this sloka. I think this sloka number is in the 32nd chapter. Yeah, 18th, 19th, or some 20th sloka. Naham tu sakyo bhajato api jantum bhajami amisam anuvritti vrittaye yata dhamna labda dhane vinaste tat chintayanyam nibritona veda. Nibritona veda. But the reason I do not immediately reciprocate the affection of living beings, even when they worship me, O gopis, is that I want to intensify their loving devotion. You must be thinking, am I the person to go? You selected? We must be thinking, am I the one to put test on whether I'm go through this intensified testing and all those things? Krishna, come on. We may be thinking, but understand, Krishna knows our breaking point. He is a fantastic expert physician. He does not overdose us. He does not when anesthesia. I have zero knowledge about medical industry, medical education, medicines. So one time I asked a doctor that why you have to give anesthesia? Why to give anesthesia? Is there a study you have to go through? All is just, what my understanding is, get an injection or whatever it is, just put it, that person become unconscious. Why you need to have a separate a field of education for becoming an anesthesia? Then the doctor told me that it is not that easy. A little bit of overdose can kill that person. Right? Kill that person. Krishna knows what is the breaking point that we all are in. We may not accept that, but Krishna as a father, he knows. Even the children of us, they won't accept when we give some, when we punish them, when we do something to them, they will think this is the extreme case that the parents are behaving with me. That's what they think. But the parents knows very well, this is nothing. This is nothing. I'm just creating an environment for you to behave well. That's all. So Krishna is saying to the gopis is that I want to want to intensify their loving devotion. They then become like a poor man who has gained some wealth and then lost it. Lost it. And who thus becomes so anxious about it that he can think of nothing else other than me. So that's a beautiful, beautiful sloka. So we can understand this. So love without expectation is so very important in our life. That is what is called selfless service. And this is all about well-behaved. We have to cultivate these habits to behave as devotees. When we have these habits, when we are like this, we automatically inspire others. Automatically inspires others. But it has to be a selfless service. When others see this, they would want to become like us, like you. And then another meaning of this particular word is obedience. Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna. Who else can demonstrate what obedience means than them? Shatrughna was obedient to Bharata. Bharata and Lakshmana was obedient to Rama. It's just amazing. And Rama was obedient to his parents. Everyone. And Sita was obedient to her husband, Rama. So if one is not obedient, even in spite of practicing Krishna consciousness for years, then the person has not learned anything in Krishna consciousness. It's all only by books. So we have to be obedient to the authorities. There should be obedience. So that's about this one. And let's move on to the next slide. What that brings to us is live without pretending. What we get shows we are honest. Honesty. Absence of honesty is pretension. Here without defending, meaning I'm accepting I am not perfect. That means there should be humility. If we are defending all the time in the defending mode, it's quite obvious there is no humility within us. There are situations where we have to defend. If you have been put into a serious case or something, then we have to do something. But the defensive nature should not be defensive thing cannot be our nature all the time. That's the point. So humility is developed when we hear without defending. By speaking without offending, we become sensitive of our surroundings and our people to whom we are talking. We are very sensitive. We become very sensitive of what we are doing. Just because we have tongue doesn't mean we can talk whatever we want to talk. At times, those who are in position, they have to take a role of a Kshatriya. Therefore, they have to talk in certain ways. That does not mean that can be applied in all cases by everyone. Even that person who's playing a role of a Kshatriya in front of a guru, in front of his authority or her authority, have to be sensitive while they're speaking. They cannot behave the same way in front of others, in front of the authority. So love without expectation brings purity within us. Because when we expect something, then our consciousness is impure. We are expecting, I'm helping you, Prabhuji, because you can do this thing for me in future. Or you can take care of my family. Or you can give some big donations. Or you can do something, right? So I'm doing all these things. That means there's an impure consciousness within us of expecting something. For that, we have to have love without expecting, which is a purity. We develop purity by that. Let's move on to the other one. I'm going to keep it really, this is all, many of you who were given classes have spoken a lot on these topics. So I'm not going to spend much time, but Shraddha Dhanasya, Bhalasya. As a child, I had complete faith in them. When we have doubt in what we are doing, please understand, when we are having doubt in what we are doing, then we cannot be successful. Any field that you take, you want to be a businessman, you want to study medicine, you want to become a lawyer, you want to become an engineer, you want to become a teacher, you want to become a best housewife, you want to be a good husband, we should have a faith in what we are doing. If there is no faith in what we are doing, we are going to be terribly failing in whatever the task that we take. This that I've taken is definitely going to give me the result that I'm looking for. That faith. If someone is saying that, Hare Krishna, please come to our temple, Hare Krishna temple located in Lindell Boulevard, as we have a Sunday program, every Sunday program, 5 to 8:30, we have Bhagavad Gita class, we have Prasadam. Someone is coming and saying, oh, very good, what do we get out of it? You may become happy or may not become happy. Please come and try. If you say this word, you may become happy, because you yourself are not happy. I myself are not happy going to the temple. I'm facing a lot of problems. So you can, maybe you are lucky, you can give a try. It may work out for you, it didn't work out for me. Oh, come on, this is because one person told me many years back, initiated devotee told me that, Prabhu, I don't know whether I'm in a right path or not. That just blew me completely. You're initiated. You've taken up the process. You are chanting. Therefore, please do not take initiation if you're not completely convinced. There's no one is eagerly waiting for someone to get initiated. There's no rush. Unless one is completely convinced, there's no point really what are we going to do? Where are we rushing? There's no rat race here in anything. I want to be first in getting initiated. I want to be a second initiated before that person. I want to be the first one as a young devotee get initiated. All these things are again going back to a pretension. We are not living a true life of a devotee. Right? So let's move on to the next slide. Anucharasya cha. Are you still with me? I'm not even sure if everyone is still here, but we will surely, guaranteed it will end by 9 o'clock. Don't worry. It won't go beyond that. Even before that, maybe. You're almost getting there. So, Anucharasya cha means strictly following. Strictly following. Whatever is being told to us, the instruction that we take, we have to follow those instructions with complete faith. It's an important aspect in our life. I will do everything, but I want to follow certain things. If we cannot have a pick and choose. Krishna consciousness movement is not a pick and choose, by the way. We all hear that, Prabhu, just come. Krishna consciousness, very easy process. Please come. It's all about chanting and feasting and dancing. Why don't you give a try? Let me tell the truth. If anyone who is here new to Krishna consciousness, I am not afraid to say this one. There's truth to it to some extent, but it's not absolutely what it is. There are a lot of other factors involved in Krishna consciousness. You got to follow many, many things in Krishna consciousness. You got to follow many rules and regulations. It is not simply eating prasadam, simply just chanting and finishing your 16 rounds, coming and attending the program. Beyond that, It all happens after you leave the temple. The real Krishna consciousness, after you get charged on Sunday for 2-3 hours, starts when you get out of the temple. We all get out of the temple. That's when the Krishna consciousness starts. Because, as I said, no one is going to watch us when we get out of the temple. That's when we see how much we are strictly following what has been instructed to us. Therefore, it's very important. Following the teachings of Krishna, following the teachings of one's guru, acharyas, is very important. Right? So that's about the very last secret point that given by Narada Muni. The first was Anuraktasya, Pradittasya, Shraddadhanasya, Anucharasya. So those 4 things are very key. Can anyone summarize what those 4 are? You can go from bottom also. The last one is Anucharasya means, thank you, faith, and Shraddha, following the instructions, and Shraddha, this one anyone can tell, is faith. Okay.
Having faith.
Okay. Pratirtasya means well-behaved or obedience, right? And then tasyaiva means, tasyaiva me anuraktasya. Anuraktasya means attachment. Being attached to the process, being attached to the devotees, being attached to the lotus feet of Guru and Gauranga. That's very important also. Okay, is there any other slides, Mataji, that you put after this? No. But before we get into the question and answer, I'm going to share a small song, and I'm going to translate that also. Just give me a minute. And this will be the last one. I promise you, I don't have any other things. We can open up for any questions after that. Just this 5 minutes video, I want you to watch. Priya Mataji.
Prabhuji.
Can I? Are you able to access this link?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji. 1 second.
And is it possible to share also?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Make sure your audio is on.
Yeah, Prabhu.
And kindly understand this as a Tamil language. Those who know Tamil will enjoy this. Those who don't, enjoy the music, and I will convey the meaning of it at the end, and we can close after that. And this is written by the way, this song that you're going to see is written by one of my Ramayan teacher, who was a Sri Vaishnava, his very close friend. So.
You're able to see my screen, Prabhuji?
Yeah, we can see. You can enlarge it.
Yeah, I will do that.
Wait.
And able to hear?
ஆசை என்று உள்ளே ஒன்று மோசம் செய்யுதே, அது பூசை என்று வெளியே உன்மேல் பாசம் செய்யுதே. நாளும் உன்னை நேசிப்பதாய் போடும் வேஷமே, அது நாளுக்கு நாள் நானே எனக்கு தேடும் நாசமே. எல்லோருக்கும் நன்மை செய்தோம் என்று தோணுதே, செய்த ஒவ்வொன்றிலும் சுயநலமே என்ன நாணுதே. போதும் 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 இந்த போலி நாடகம், உந்தன் பாதம் ஒன்றே ஆக வேண்டும் எந்தன் தாரகம். பேரும் புகழும் வேண்டாம் என்று உள்ளம் சொல்லுதே, பலர் புகழ இன்னும் புகழ என்னும் கள்ளம் வெல்லுதே. காம கோபம் வென்றோம் என்று வாயும் சொல்லுதே, உள்ளே விருப்பும் வெறுப்பும் தலை விரித்தே ஆடி செல்லுதே. பசி ருசியை கடந்தோம் என்று மாறு தட்டுதே, இந்த புசி என்ற தினம் நாக்கும் வயிறும் காலை கட்டுதே. போதும் 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 இந்த போலி நாடகம், எந்தன் மாமுனிவன் பாதம் அல்லால் யாதும் பாதகம். சுகத்தை விட மனசு இல்லை உள்ள நிலை இது, ஆனால் ஜெகத்தினையே ஜெயித்ததாக சொல்லி அலையுது. நன்று செய்த நல்லவரை அன்றே மறக்குது, இது குன்று போன்ற குறை சுமந்தும் கூசாது இருக்குது. வந்தவர்க்கே அறிவுரையை வாரி வழங்குது, இது தன் வாழ்க்கையில் தத்தளித்தே வாடி வதங்குது. போதும் 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 இந்த போலி நாடகம், எந்தன் மாமுனிவன் பாதம் அல்லால் யாதும் பாதகம். நினைத்தபடி நடப்பதுவே எந்தன் வாடிக்கை, அது உன் நினைவே என்று சொல்வது என்ன வேடிக்கை. உனக்காகவே வாழ்ந்திடுவேன் என்று பாரிக்கை, பின் எனக்காக இது செய் என்று என்ன கோரிக்கை. துறவி என்று கூறிக்கொண்டும் எதையும் துறக்கலை, இந்த பிறவிக்கெனோ ஞானம் ஏதும் இன்னும் பிறக்கலை. போதும் 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 இந்த போலி நாடகம், எந்தன் மாமுனிவன் பாதம் அல்லால் யாதும் பாதகம். எந்தன் மாமுனிவன் பாதம் அல்லால் யாதும் பாதகம்.
Thank you, Mataji. You can pause. Yeah, you can minimize or whatever you want. So this is a beautiful song. I mean, if you know the language, it would have brought tears in one's eyes, because this is, by the way, written by a sannyasi, a Sri Vaishnava sannyasi. I'll try my best. The word so rich has been used here, very rich. It's very hard to translate it. I'll try a little bit, whatever I can. So it says, ஆசை என்று உள்ளே ஒன்று மோசம் செய்யுதே, அது பூசை என்று வெளியே உன்மேல் பாசம் செய்யுதே. Meaning, I have a lot of lusty desire within myself, which is actually killing me. But outside I am showing it's my love to you, my Lord. Internally, I have so much lusty desire, or any desire for that matter. Karma can also mean lusty or any type of desire. That's first verse. Second is saying, நாளும் உன்னை நேசிப்பதாய் போடும் வேஷமே, அது நாளுக்கு நாள் நானே எனக்கு தேடும் நாசமே. Each day, நாளும் உன்னை நேசிப்ப. Each day, I am pretending myself, doing a fantastic act as if I'm a great devotee. It's nothing but simply I am digging my own pit. That's what I am doing, my Lord is talking like this to you. எல்லோருக்கும் நன்மை செய்தோம் என்று தோணுதே, செய்த ஒவ்வொன்றிலும் சுயநலமை என்ன நாணுது. This is another beautiful one. I feel completely satisfied when I think of what all good things I've done for people around me, for devotees, non-devotees, relatives, friends. I feel so satisfied. But then when I go deeper, then I can understand I did all this for my own selfish nature. There is something behind why I did all these things. It could be name, fame, prestige, or something written I'm expecting, whatever it is. போதும் 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 இந்த போலி நாடகம், உந்தன் பாதம் ஒன்றே ஆக வேண்டும் எந்தன் தாரகம். So it says enough of it. It's just too much for me. Enough of it. Only your lotus feet is alone my shelter. Nothing else. Then he goes on. பேரும் புகழும் வேண்டாம் என்று உள்ளம் சொல்லுதே பலர் புகழ இன்னும் புகழ் என்னும் கள்ளம் வெல்லுதே. So பேரும் புகழும் வேண்டாம் என்று உள்ளம் சொல்லுது. My heart says no to name, fame and prestige. I don't want to be glorified. I don't want to become famous, nothing. But when people glorify me, when people tell, I am becoming so satisfied. I feel like, why don't you tell more? Continue, right? This is a summary of what we just saw the entire presentation today, by the way. காம கோபம் வென்றோம் என்று வாயும் வெல்லுதே சொல்லுதே உள்ளே வெறுப்பும் விருப்பும் தலை விரித்து ஆட செய்யுதே. So he says that I am a Jitendriya. I have conquered my Indriyas. Kama and Krodha are my slaves. I don't get angry. I have no desires at all. That's how my mouth says. I speak like that when I give classes, when I speak to people, when I give talk to in a public, when I'm free of anger and I am free of karma. But உள்ளே விருப்பும் வெறுப்பும் தலை விரித்து ஆட செய்யுது. But inside me, those karma and krodha is dancing like a madman. Inside me. And then he goes that பசி ருசியை கடந்தோம் என்று மாறு தட்டுதே இந்த புசி என்றதும் நாக்கும் வயிறும் காலை கட்டுதே. I said, I fast Chaturmasya. I do Nirjal every Ekadeshi. I can do whatever things are. I'm not interested in tasty food. All those things we try to tell all these things externally. But as soon as we get nice sabji, paneer sabji, samosa, ice cream, we have to talk in those language. Pizza, the smell comes, right? As soon as I get the smell, hunger starts inside. But externally I say, I'm free of hunger, any of those things. Now they go, podum in the poli nadagam. And then Mamunivan Padamalal Yad Padam. Mamuni is one of the great Acharya who falls under Sri Ramanujacharya Sampradaya. Manavala Mamunigal is named. So his lotus feet alone is my shelter. In other words, he says, only the great saints, Acharyas, Guru's feet is only my shelter. Then he goes on saying, சுகத்தை விட மனசு இல்லை உள்ள நிலை இது. ஆனால் ஜகத்தினையே ஜெயித்திடும் சொல்லி அலையுது. சுகத்தை விட மனசு இல்லை. I don't have any intention of giving up any sort of enjoyment. I don't have any intention to give up any enjoyment. சுகத்தை விட மனசு இல்லை. That's my situation. But I won the entire world. I conquered the world. That's how I pronounce outside to the people. நன்று செய்த நல்லவரை அன்றே மறக்குது. இது குன்று போன்ற குறை சுமந்து பூசாது இருக்குது. This is another beautiful one. செய் நன்றி மறப்பது. அதாவது what it means is that நன்று செய்த நல்லவரை, people would have done a lot of good things for us in our life, for us to be in this situation. If you are in a materially you are well to do, someone would have helped you in your life. If you are spiritually good in your Krishna consciousness, someone would have certainly helped in your life. But my condition is that I immediately forget all those people who have done good in my life. I don't even think twice to forget. It's natural for me to forget people who have done good in my life. குன்று போன்று குறை சுமந்து கூசாது இருக்குது. This is I carry a mountain, hill full of faults in me. And I don't have any shame of that being so. I myself carry in my bag so many aparad, apachara, so many things I have, but I'm shamelessly walking around the people, forcing myself to be great. Then he goes, வந்தவர்க்கே அறிவுரையை வாரி வழங்குது, இது தன் வாழ்க்கையில் தத்தளித்தே வாடி வதங்குது. Yes, this is another one. We give advice to, our nature is to give advice to anyone who comes and talks to us, right? Braj Bihari Prabhu, when he comes to give his seminars, he says, Indians are famous for something. What? They freely give advice to anyone and everyone, whether you ask or whether you don't ask. Just keep on giving advice. Keep on giving advice. Advice after advice after advice. Right? We don't have a habit of listening first. Rompal Maharaj told me something in past to me that, Lal Gopal, you're not here to solve the problems. Remember that you're not here to solve the problem. None of us are here to solve the problem. We can help people to get out of the problem. But we are not taking the ownership of solving someone's problem. Maharaj says this to me. You can help that person, but you can't take ownership of everything. Right? So what we do is, if someone comes to us, you have to become a devotee. You have to chant 16 rounds. You have to get up Mangalarti. You have to read Bhagavatam. You have to give up this eating, give up that one. You keep telling all those things. But in my life, I'm struggling even to get up in the morning, even to chant my 16 rounds correctly. I have so many problems in my personal life. I can't with anything. But then outside world, I give advice to everyone without any problem. Podum in the poli nadagam. Yendan Mamunivan Padamalal Yad Padagam. And here's the last part, and then we can stop. Ninethabadi Nadapaduve Yendan Vadikai. Adu Uninave Yendu Solvadi Yenna Vedikai. I am completely an independent person. That is my nature. I am not dependent on anyone. I'm not dependent on anyone. I'm completely independent. But the way I project is, I say I'm completely dependent on you, my Lord. Krishna, I'm dependent on you. But internally, I make all the plans. That means I'm actually independent. For the sake of saying, I say I'm completely dependent on you, Krishna. Whom am I making fool here? Unakagave வாழ்ந்திடுவேன் என்று பாரிக்கை எனக்காக இது செய் என்று என்ன கோரிக்கை? He says, my life is for you. I am surrendered soul. Krishna, I am surrendered. You are my only shelter. I don't have any other shelter to go. Please do this for me, Krishna. If I have surrendered soul, then why you are even asking something? எனக்காக இது செய் என்று என்ன கோரிக்கை? Why are you asking that you want this, you want that, you take care of me, you don't take care of me, you solve my problem? Why are you coming and praying to me? If you're surrendered soul. துறவி என்று கூறிக்கொண்டு எதையும் துறக்கலை. இந்த பிறவிக்கேனோ ஞானம் ஏதும் இன்னும் பிறக்கலை. We are all thinking we are knowledgeable. We have studied so much. We are asking so many questions. But then this sannyasi is saying that Turavi is a Turavi by means he is a saffron person, he is a saint, he is a yeti, he is a sannyasi. He says, I am a sannyasi, meaning I am supposed to give up everything. Sannyasi means give up everything. Turavi என்று கூறிக்கொண்டு, I've said I am Turavi, I am sannyasi, but actually I have not given up anything. Internally, I am still attached to all those things. இந்த பிறவிக்கேனோ ஞானம் ஏதும் இன்னும் பிறக்கலை. In this, for me, in this life, I have not got that bhakti. I have not got that knowledge. போதும் இந்த போலி நாடகம் இந்த மாமுனியன் பாதம் அல்லால் யாதும் பாதகம். It is only the shelter of Mamuni. It's only the shelter of Acharyas. Only the shelter of Prabhupada. Only the shelter of Guru that can really protect me. This is called Acharya Abhiman. There are 5 ways that we can attain moksha. First one is Karma Yoga. Second one is Jnana Yoga. Third one is Bhakti Yoga. Fourth one is Sharanagati. Fifth one is, guess what?
Acharya.
Sorry?
To the Acharyas.
The 4 things doesn't work for you. The 5th one, Ashok Prabhu said, Acharya Abhiman. Acharya is the only shelter. By his mercy, I will go back to Krishna. It's not because of I'm studying, I'm doing services, I'm doing chanting, and I'm becoming purified, and all those things are very good. But it's only by the grace of Guru that we can all be saved. If anyone have a different opinion about that, good luck. It may take lifetimes. But those who are serious in life, want to get out of this place this very lifetime, then we don't depend on our strength. We don't depend on any other factors. other than the shelter of lotus feet of Guru that will alone protect us. That is the meaning of this whole song sung by this great saint. With that said, thank you so much for tolerating me for this long. And I'm ready now. You can shoot the arrows.
So, Prabhu, thank you so much for such a wonderful lecture, very practical. So, how did you know that this song had all those qualities which are in me?
I don't know whether it's within you or not. This is a song I hear pretty much every single day. That means you can understand my position. This keeps reminding me every single day. I was in fact sent this message. One time I sent this to Rajeshwari Pran Mataji, sent her wanting to request her to translate into English, but somehow I forgot to send a follow-up message and forgot. Maybe she would have done a better job because she's very good in writing poems.
I think we should hear this song every day. So in the morning, first thing we start going to work, we should just hear this every day. So I think it's a constant reminder to us really where we are. So
I'll send the link. Just the words going inside our ears. Now that you know the meaning, you'll really feel like tears coming out of, because it just talks about not you, about me.
I think it's about me.
Okay, now thank you. Anyone else have anything to say?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, when you were discussing in the slide that well-behaved and obedience, and you kind of like mentioned that live without pretending and give so Lord Ramachandra is the epitome of that example, like live without pretending, or is there any connection? Or
sorry, yeah, because I went through that very fast on that slide. It is not connected. The word has two meanings. One is well-behaved, another one is obedience. So I spent a lot of time on how to be well-behaved, and I didn't put much time on the obedience factor. I kept it very short, giving example of those four brothers, which you all know anyway.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, like when you were discussing like this love without expecting, I believe like Prabhuji, love without expecting is like, it can only happen between Lord and the devotee, but whenever it comes to any material relationship, like it already becomes like very transactional, even if it is like spousal relationship, like marital relationship or something like that, or like siblings or like parental. There is always some expectation. So like how, we should behave.
We should like try to understand that subtle difference here. So you got married. When you got married, there was an expectation that your husband is going to take care of you. And your husband had an expectation that you will do as a wife whatever you're supposed to do. Under those conditions, you got married. It is not that, whether you take care of me or you don't take care of me, I'll marry you. Right? It's not like that. Whether you give me degree or you don't give me degree, I'll join your college. Whether you give whatever, it's not like that. So there's a difference between what we are talking here and what you're talking on the relationship that is the immediate relationship. There is an immediate relationship where you, your husband, your children, and there is an extended relationship where you and your family members, your father, mother, brothers, sisters, and your in-laws, extended relationship. And there's a social relationship outside of that, which is where we got to be a little carefully applying this, but also applying the same within the circle, what I just said, after some period of the time is very good. It has to be within the circle also, within the immediate and within the extended also, we have to try to apply. But when we start with those relationships, there's always expectation. There's always expectation. The child is expecting mother will take care of her or him. The mother is expecting the child is going to study well. That's those expectations are natural to have. There's nothing wrong in those expectations. But after a certain point of time, those expectations should not be a block in that relationship as it grows. Because I remember usually I don't mention examples of Radhanath Swami and my Guru Maharaj names in lectures. I usually don't do that one, but I just remembered is that his father said to him, "My dear son, whatever path you take, I will be there for you to support." It doesn't mean that you become a criminal and support. That's not what it means. Whether you become a saint or whether you take up my business, I will support you. That means he is not expecting anything from his son. I'm just here as a father. That's it. I'm here as a father. My love is there for you, irrespective of whether you be the way that I wanted or not. Prahlad was an example. Prahlad's father was absolutely not to the expectation of how a father should be. But Prahlad, being in such an elevated position, he didn't care how his father's the father's dharma, whether the Hiranyakashipu followed or not. He didn't even worry about that part. But that is Prahlad. We are not Prahlad. Therefore, we have to mold our life in such a way our expectation reduces over a period of the time. Otherwise, it may end up with frustration. I was just sorry, one last thing. I was talking to one Mataji and this many years back, and Mataji's husband had a heart problem. Heart problem. And she always worried about him. Therefore, she used to cook food in such a way there's no oil, there is no fat items, etc. But that Prabhu, he doesn't like that. He wants paneer, he wants samosa, he wants fried items, everything. So she tried to tell him, and then that gets into fight, arguments all the time. So what happened over the period of the time? She was expecting that her husband will eat what she cooks for his health, not for herself, for his good health. But he was not in the mood. There was fight all the time. Finally, what happened? Accept. Forcefully, she had to accept it. That's how I did my best. This is what it is. Then God take care of him. So if in the starting only, if we understand this may work, may not work, our expectation will reduce. Therefore, our love will increase for that person to Atma beyond the point of that relationship. Okay. With that said, 4 minutes, a lot of time I'm giving back to you. 4 minutes. Any last minute thing to add? Maybe everyone went already, just keeping the thing on. Okay. Sorry, it became a 2 hours lecture, but that's how I'm very unorganized. I'm not able to control myself. Thank you all very much. Wonderful rest of the day and weekend. See you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarabhyascha, Vipasindha Bhavevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavi.